All right, everybody, 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here. I wanted to do a specific video on the earthquake that occurred in Turkey last night, our time. It was about 8:30 our time, Eastern time. And the quakes keep coming, right? And that's pretty typical. You get these aftershocks. So let's go right to the map right now. Here is a look at the globe. You can see this area in the upper right-hand corner here. Obviously, that's where the quake occurred. So we'll zoom in there. We'll show you some of the details of it, and then I'll talk about some of the plates that they look at. And this is what we look at. Look, the Earth's crust is floating on the surface, basically, of the Earth, if you will. And these plates are always moving around. Some of them are going like this. Some of them are going under other plates. This particular plate is called a transform plate. And that's where the two plates are kind of going like this, and every now and then one will jut over. Okay, that's a pretty good one. That's very, very similar to the San Andreas fault in California. A lot of people are familiar with that. That's a transform slip strike is what they call that as well. Here's what it looks like as far as the numbers now. So what you're seeing, the colors that you see, the yellow, the green, the blues, those have to do with the earthquakes and how long ago they occurred. So the big one that happened yesterday at 8:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is this green area right in here. All right, 7.8. Number one, that is huge. That is a very big earthquake. Number two, it was only about 11 miles deep. Now, the shallower that is, the more it shakes the surface. So that's getting there. You can have some deep ones that don't shake you as much, but look, that size at that depth, it did a lot of damage. Nearly 2,000 people dead at this point, and that number will likely climb. Now, the greens that you see here are all the earthquakes that we've seen in the last 24 hours. But you see the yellows. Those are the quakes within the past 12 hours. And look what happened earlier this morning. I mean, we had a 7.5 at about 5:24 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, north of here. Now, there's a fault line that runs right in here. It's right in between the two plates, really, sitting right in there. So where this is occurring makes sense. But guys, that is huge. A 7.5. This is just going to spread out the damage that's occurring there. So they're still in the midst of dealing with all of this, and unfortunately, it looks like it's going to continue for some time. Let me get this back up here for you. Now, let's talk a little bit about the plates. I don't want to keep you long here, but I just want to explain some of this, how this works. The Arabian plate sitting down here, okay, and it kind of goes right in this area. This is the leading edge of the Arabian plate. The African plate sits out over here. This is the northern edge of it, right in here, all right? The Anatolian plate, and that's the one that sits right here over Turkey, and then you've got the Eurasian plate north of it. So you got this Anatolian plate over Turkey, and you got this small Aegean one right here, and you got the Eurasian one above all of that, okay? What's happening is these two are sliding parallel to each other. It's called a transform fault. Okay, and every now and then those lines are lined up. Every now and then one will jut over into the other. Now, these types of faults don't push into each other like we have some where they'll be pushing underneath a plate and it forces one of the sides up. You get those out in the middle of the ocean, you get big time tsunamis, right? This is a little bit different, but these types of faults, these strike slip faults, can really shake the ground. And apparently, obviously, that's what we've seen out there now. No, I just kind of looked at some of the history along this fault, and it's not exactly in this exact area where it's happening now, but along this fault here, you can see 7.1, 7.8, but you got to go back a while. I mean, the 90s had a bunch that were pretty strong there as well, too. So this little it's kind of, I think it looks something like this, something like that. Those are the hot areas, the hot zones for earthquakes in the Turkey area. Now, let's talk about strength. Comparing what this one was, the 7.8, that's pretty much equivalent to when Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980. As far as the power, you notice you get up to 8.0. This was just below it. That's equal to the world's largest nuclear test, and Russia did that. That's the type of power, the strength that this thing had. You should see some of the data coming out of Japan where they felt the aftershocks kind of ripple through the earth, and they measure that. They've got all kinds of great sensors in Japan, and they could see it coming as it came through. If you look at just kind of like tons of explosives, a 7.0 is about 1 billion pounds of explosives. An 8 is 33 billion. So this was just below that. That kind of gives you just a little bit better idea of the amount of energy there. Now, it is typical to continue to see all of these aftershocks after a big quake like this. Things will slowly settle down, but you have to remember that there's been a lot of damage in this area to the buildings there, and even a small aftershock at this point can take down a building that's been really damaged by some of the stronger quakes there. So we'll be keeping the latest on it for you here at 10 Tampa Bay. We'll have some more stories coming in this afternoon at noon. In fact, we're going on in just a few minutes. And then, of course, CBS News will be keeping us updated throughout the afternoon and evening hours with video coming out of there now. It's just really hard to watch. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching.